There is a saying that is out there that if you don't stand for anything, you will fall for everything. And I was quickly trying to find who the quote was attributed to. And I came across Malcolm X, Alexander Hamilton, and other people. Some of them I had not heard of before. But in looking at the statement, because there are so many ways, some people have said those who do not stand for anything will fall for everything. And I think that was attributed to a war or some sort. That it is so important. And I realized the importance more than anything, not as a child, but as an adolescent, when I stood up one day from the table, the dining room table, I rose up and I could feel this overwhelming presence of energy rising up in me. It didn't hurt, it wasn't painful, but my curiosity stayed with this presence as it came up and it caressed my heart and just continued to rise to my brain until I realized that this energy was gratitude. I was so grateful that our mother shared her life experiences so that we could have a better life than she had. Then and that was the reason why she said it. You know, she was the communicator. She wanted to communicate with us more than she did as far as punish us or whoop us. She felt like words. Now I know more than ever. She felt like words were powerful, and to actually just sit down and talk to your children and allow them to talk to you. The importance of communication, the importance of sharing experiences, not out of bitterness. Tears may shed, and tears did shed when she would, talk about it, but not so much. You would just see the water in her eyes and the pain that she had endured, and yet still she took that pain and used it for good. She used it to shed light on possible experiences that we would have and some things that could help us to weather life storms. I do believe the heart, the center of joy, what we consider the center of joy, of love, it often represents love, is the fertile ground for seeds to be planted, whether it is um, helpful seeds, harmful seeds, positive emotions, negative emotions. It is it is often open as children to all kinds of seeds until we start becoming more aware of what we're putting inside of us. And that can happen in childhood, I believe, because I know for me, often I would hear the some of the stuff that was so blatant, so much seen, that I would see the anger and the frustration in people and how they would use their words to say stuff to you, almost like spewing venom to you, or these seeds that they want to plant inside of you. Um, because pain knows no color, no race, no creed, no culture. It even knows no boundaries, even when it comes to family members. That it wants to present itself, it wants to grow, it wants to for people to know, right? The itself, just like any other thoughts grow. And I would see it and I would often mentally project, give it back to them. I would push it back to them in my mind. I would see the foam of the words, or the cloud of words, and literally just push it right back to them, because I knew that early on that thoughts were powerful. From a little girl who was bouncing a ball and just wondered, if I think that I have great reflexes, what will that do to the outcome of me catching the ball? This is 6 years old thinking this, 5 or 6 in the back room of my grandmother's house, the room that my two brothers, myself, and my mom were in when my mom came to Illinois. And I realized that because of that thought, I caught the ball more, little small ball, one of those like if you ever played jumping jacks, that little red ball, and I caught it more than I didn't catch it, that I dropped it. And I said, wow, even then, at that point, I knew the power of my words and the power of thought. And I resisted labels, but I was open to being a student of life. I was open to learning because I remember one day I was walking around in my mother's, in the front yard of our house. My mother planted different flowers, plants out in the front. And for a while, why does she do that? I just want to be able to walk in the grass. But that was my sanctuary, my outer sanctuary of being able to contemplate, ponder just different thoughts and things that would come to me. And I would reject thoughts, I would accept thoughts, I would analyze thoughts. And I remember just thinking that mistakes is such a horrible word, that I preferred life lessons and how it's important not to have regret, and that to learn from my ways, and more importantly, to learn from others. And so having that thought and having a mother share her experiences, I was open to what she said. Open so much that I published about 8, 9 of those in a book in 2013 that I'm working on editing, that book right now as we speak. Um, to bring it back out to the world, because I believe that so powerfully that principles really do help. They help to light your way. They help you to discern good behavior from not so good behavior, or helpful behavior from harmful behaviors. They are your light in the darkness when things appear dark. They are the hope, the compassion. They are the ones that will help you to heal and to see that your life is bigger than your experiences, in which I believed. And I've seen their impact on people that I love, people that I've shared my mother's words of wisdom with, personally and professionally, as when I was practicing as a nurse instructor, as a health coach, as a tutor, using those words that were shared with me to help people increase their confidence, their trust in themselves, and to believe that it's so important just to live another day, despite what you've gone through, what you've experienced. And also too, that these principles are experiences that my mother shared, that um, it helped me to form principles of my own, to have other life lessons that would eventually not only build my outer fortress, but my inner. Starting from the inner to the outer, and helping to protect my heart, to protect the fruit, the spiritual fruit that was placed in our hearts and our minds, to protect them. Because you can get out in this world and you can see so much evil, so much hate, so much fear of people doing different things, that you could become evil and fearful and hateful. Pain that's projected on you, someone else's misery, or unable to heal from their wounds. And because they're not able to heal, they're holding on to this pain, and this pain wants to seek other places to sow itself. Just like our peppermint plant when we were in Ohio, and how I planted it in one place, and before long the roots had spread it throughout the garden. And that's what weeds can do. They can plant themselves, and when I say weeds, I mean negative emotions and feelings, and how they can plant themselves in your inner garden and rob you from your spiritual fruit. That we are not here to identify with our experiences, but we're here to transcend them. And we're not here to just not live an abundant life or a prosperous life, but we are to have life more abundantly and in all realms: financial, spiritual, mental, intellectual, and physical, including, our health. And we get so wrapped up in what everybody else's experiences and what they're what they're experiencing and what they're doing, that we can easily transform that to our identity, and we're in the same boat as them instead of showing them that this is not the way to go. And so I want to talk today about one of my mother's principles. Now that I've told you that, I want to talk about one of her principles. I've been sharing a couple of them I've shared this year, and how she shared with me how God is not in a building, He is in your heart. And really how that helped me to understand even now that God is in me. And so many of us are walking around not knowing, not believing, not embracing, not nourishing the God that is within us, instead of placing limitations on who we are and our life experiences. So if you haven't listened to that, I encourage you to do that. Another one is about giving from the heart. We can allow experiences to change us, but within our heart are the laws of the universe. Within our hearts are the truths, are the morals and character of this life sustaining energy that created earth, humans, and beyond all this, the universes, all of that. We are a microcosm aspect of this macro loving spirit that is here everywhere, that is just, that is faithful, that is all powerful and all knowing. And that's what I wanted to align with when I was a child. So again, my fertile soul, and I will encourage you that no matter what you've gone through, to keep your soul not just fertile, but to keep it seeking and expecting the truth of your being and your experiences, to see the bigger picture. And then those are the two that I've shared. And I did some other podcasts this month, but the one that I will get into is, as my mother was a very big advocate of keeping the kitchen clean. She didn't like a dirty kitchen, like trash or uh, things, food, things hanging out, chips, bags on everywhere. So anytime that we clean, she would say, "Clean up as you go." So if I cracked an egg, that eggshell should go in the trash immediately. If I peel potatoes, once I'm done, make sure I put it in the trash. I don't leave it on the table. It wasn't so much, we had um, more of in our first home, we had the issues with ants and bugs and things of that nature, and mice, etc. Not so much in our second home, but even then we still had the bugs and ants. But it was more of, she wanted, well, you don't know, but she wanted this kitchen to be cleaned. She thought it was like a sanctuary for her, a peaceful abode, somewhere where she could be creative and just do things, fix different foods. And that's where I get a lot of my creativity from her. But she would say, "Clean up as you go." And so the more I thought about that, and I'm very particular when I cook. I do like a clean kitchen. I like things organized. I like to be able to find things, and I like to be able to eat things later. So I put things away as soon as I'm done with it. I teach my children to do the same thing, not leaving wrappers out, not leaving food out for spoilage, and just being clean and organized. And I kept thinking about that, and I said, man, that's more of a spiritual principle, because daily we run into different seeds, seeds that are floating around. We have different experiences. People may say things, may do things, we may see things. And so many seeds, definitely from our perception of an event, can fall within our inner garden, things that we're not even aware of. Just like a bird can pick up a seed, and I've shared that before, a seed that you've planted and it's eating or chewing those seeds, and then it drop the seed somewhere else, and now you have a carrot that is like 2 aisles over. Well, that's like with when we think about seeds that are within you, negative and positive seeds. Negative meaning that they can be very harmful for you, right? And we know that too much of something can be harmful, but negative and persistent anger and frustration, fear, bitterness, greed, resentment, vengeance, shame, guilt, doubt, all of those emotions and feelings that I don't believe are within the image of our Creator. Because um, if that was so, we would not be here today, right? There would be so much, so we would not even be here. I believe our Creator is about family. I believe He is about it is about forgiveness. It is about grace and mercy. It is about giving us some time to help us to come to our senses, right? To reflect the beauty and the nature of, of this that created all things and is within all things. That we as a human, as humanity, um, we choose to perceive things, and sometimes our perception harms us than it does helping us. And it's so important when we talk about cleaning up as you go, is daily reflection. Is and it is even so, I've mentioned daily reflection, but even momentary reflection, as you control yourself, because I believe that is the evolution of the human, the human aspect, the human part of us, or that is the evolution of our earthly journey, I should say, is the coming together of our human genetic portion, our personalities, things that, from history of people and traditions, and our spiritual, the essence that made and created everything, is to come together. I believe that's part of our earthly journey here. And when you're cleaning up, you realize that that through life there's going to be things that get out of order. There are going to be things that go somewhere and shouldn't be somewhere. We're going to be somewhere when we shouldn't be somewhere. And I believe that we should take time as we're going through our day and assessing how our day is going. Before we respond to what someone is saying, just even assessing how we're feeling. What is popping up within you? Do you feel anger brewing inside of you? Do you feel bitterness? Because that didn't just happen overnight. That is something that has been there for some time, and we are really just now feeling it, or we've been feeling it but ignoring it. And so it's about this awareness, but that stems from that we are not our experiences, and that we can remain, um, or become more in align with our spiritual, the spiritual aspect of ourselves. That awareness will cause us to say, hey, that's something I need to address within myself. And that we don't always have to speak what is on our minds. There is another way of speaking. And often I'll ask, I don't, what should I say instead of this? If I say this, this may come across as this. What should I say? And often when I pose it that way, I will get an answer. And it'll be exactly what needs to be said for that moment, that I've gotten confirmation, not just for myself and how I felt, but from others. That was the right thing to say, or I needed that. Because I do believe that if we ask, we shall receive. If we seek, we shall find. If we knock, the door shall be answered. Especially if our desire, our intent, I believe, is on, from the principle, from love, because that's what it's all about. It's all about creating this generational love cycle from that which we come from. We are love. But it's through this life that we get lost, we get turned around, we start sowing seeds that are not becoming of us. But if we're not just daily, but momentarily taking time to pause, to allow the space in between what was said or what was done and our reaction, because no matter what, we are responsible for our reaction. We are responsible for what we say, what we do, what we think, what we believe, and how we express those beliefs through our gifts and our talents, and our intermingle with our experiences and our abilities. And so cleanup is one of the things I believe that has kept me from taking a lot of medications, of having moments of anxiety, but then realizing that, I don't have to be anxious, that there are good hormones or neurotransmitters in my body that God has given me to help me to be less anxious about things. Um, Cleaning up is just about organizing, filing things, filing, trying to weed out what is not helpful. As I was saying to my husband today, is that you take the good and you leave the bad. You don't have to take in everything that you experience. And so, how has that helped me heal? It's helped me in a sense that there are things that I don't need from the past, that if it if I felt like someone projected their pain on me, then that's not something I want to take with me and project on others. If I am angry, if I am upset, I can take time and feel those emotions, and I have, but then I have to let them go, because nothing will help me to undo the past. No matter what I do, no matter what visualization I have, what happened is what happened. And cleaning up is about letting go. It's about whatever you have that you no longer need, you're putting it in the trash. And that's the essence of Friday. Friday is like the day when the trash collectors come and they get all the trash, the accumulated trash for the week. You get rid of it. You don't hold on to it, because you know that you deserve better than that. You know that this vessel is a holy vessel, and I want it as clean as it possibly can get, because I know out of this vessel, out of this heart, everything I do comes from inside of me. So all my gifts, my talents, what I write, what I speak, what I do, if it's tainted with anger, fear, shame, doubt, that's all the stuff that is within me. It's not purified. And it's about having pure intentions, that you're not carrying these negative seeds or emotions or weeds with you as you do your work. That you want your whatever you are doing, whatever you're gifted at, you want it as pure as it possibly can be. You want it as powerful and as effective as it possibly can be. And it can take time, but the more aware that you become of yourself and your response, you take your attention off other people and you focus on your response in yourself, not to a point where it's just ego, but it's a point where I want to make sure I'm in alignment with the truth of my being as much as possible. So, what do I need to get rid of? What responses am I having? And it's like you're standing outside of yourself and you're observing, you're seeing your behavior, you're being honest with yourself, and you're taking the necessary time to change the thoughts, the beliefs that are limiting you from this pure vessel that has access to everything, access to the power that sees all, that knows all, that is everywhere, that is all powerful, that wants you to be a true representation of itself. And so the challenge is not getting others back. The challenge is not revenge. The challenge is not, I'm going to be better than you, comparing ourselves with others. The challenge is not thinking the worst about yourself. The opportunity, the challenging opportunity, is in all circumstances to reflect the truth, the light, the loving being that we are. And it's not about feel good. It's about really seeking true expression of self. Because if anger and frustration and guilt were all true expression, then they would not lead to such dangerous behaviors that we're doing, the drinking, the greed, the bullying in all forms. If that was truly our self-expression, it would not leave us dishonoring ourselves and dishonoring others. If it was true self-expression, it would not lead to diseases and rare conditions and illnesses. And so healing is a choice, healing is a process. Nobody knows when and where and how. It's about setting your mind on what it is that you desire. And day by day, not losing sight of that vision, that hope, and believing that what you ask for, you will eventually receive, no matter what it is that you are experiencing. But having the trust that the more that you cleanse yourself from impurities, the cleaner, the wholeness, the completion that you will feel. And you will be able to take this wherever you are, as a parent, a mother, a father, caregiver, as a teacher, and speaking to the students and uplifting them, blessing them, inspire them, as a person of any color, any race, any religion. It is not about spiritual division or division. It's not about division of the human race. It's more about unity. And it always happens on an individual level before it occurs on a collective level. This is Timika Chambers with Create a Generational Love Cycle segment on Heal from the Inside Out, because it's about getting to the root of our pain, getting to the root of our emotions and our feelings and our actions and our reactions and our thoughts and our beliefs. It's about realizing that we don't have to hold on to pain. We don't have to be miserable, but that we can seek to be our true selves. Because I made a statement before. It's like where you realize that eventually you can truly be who you were destined to be, despite everything and anything that has happened to you. You're not guided by pain and open wounds or unhealed wounds, but you are guided by the truth that is in you, the light, the love. I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care of yourself. Make this lifetime great, because you still can. With one change in thought, can change your life to something more grander than you can possibly imagine. I'll talk to you soon.